everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Universal Lens. I am John Emilio in Pocono Pines, Pennsylvania.
And I am Henry Beltra somewhere in Colombia, where there is some sort of coca factory behind those trees. And I can't really talk about it, but trust me, you don't want to be here. All kidding aside, this is my part of my backyard here.
Jersey,
And
we're trying something different. A
yeah,
little nature today.
it's so picturesque. It's really nice. The weather's been decent. Sometimes it's really sweltering, but
Yeah.
I can imagine today's gonna kick our ass a little bit. But
Yeah,
it's
man.
beautiful. Get a little vitamin D action going.
Agreed. Yeah. I see that
Yeah.
sun shining behind you. I'm in a screened porch. In case we get a shower up here, I don't want to get wet because thunderstorms tend to just pop up in the mountains. So,
And you know what? There's another little thing that pops up in the mountains that doesn't pop up over here.
what what are you talking about?
Bears.
Oh yes, that's true.
You guys got bears. I don't have to worry about. I don't think I have to worry about a bear.
There's a good chance we might have a cameo of one walking right by my screen porch. So just do me a favor, give me a heads up if I don't see it.
Yeah, I will. I'll let you know.
Oh God, cool, good stuff.
Looking good, man. You look good and relaxed. How many days you been there?
Just a couple of days. We came up on Friday. Yeah, no, it's I love it. I love the mountains. I love nature. I love everything about this, man.
Setup,
so
man.
yeah, no, I just love being. I mean, Jersey. Where we are, it's very rural anyway. It's not like it's not. It's not like we live in the city,
right?
But up here, it's a different level. And I just for me, I come here and everything slows down. The mind slows down. Everything just slows down.
Where we live is like I once classified it as like the cutoff point between like suburb going into country.
Yep.
But because it's not country, it's suburby country-ish. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
It's a nice mix of.
Agreed.
Suburb country. I thought it was nice, and then you're close to New York City. You're close to Philadelphia. Equidistant, I would say.
Equidistant. Yeah, that's why Monroe's kind of popular. Absolutely.
Very nice. I'll be selling real estate in Monroe.
Hey, you never know.
Right, that was a joke. I was kidding.
So
awesome, man.
What are we gonna rant about today? Rant. I shouldn't say rant.
We don't rant. You know what we do? We provide useful information.
Yes, we do.
I gotta say, I think I told you off mic. He gave me such a nice compliment, and he complimented us on how he loves how we actually have a good rapport. Back and forth.
Yeah.
He says he really enjoyed. He goes, "You guys do it like you've been studying this." I said, "No, this is just this is."
Just years of conversation and friendship.
Yeah, years of conversation. Plus we know each other's waves. You know what I mean? Like
absolutely,
we know each other's vibes.
Absolutely.
Plus, we're not. I don't know. We're not the even though we are, because you're Italian, I'm half Cuban. We do tend to chatter and spark up, but we have that beautiful balance.
Where yes, absolutely. There's a natural DNA kind of upbringing in us, which kind of makes our conversations jive a little bit more too. So absolutely.
Yeah.
Sorry, I have a little in my throat.
Hey, I was I still have your book laying around, and I
that's good. You didn't burn it yet? That's awesome.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna be truly forthcoming here. I want to gently have my entire family read it, but it's one of those things where you can't force anybody. But there it is. It's a beautiful book. It's so useful. It's so helpful, and it's one of those things where, as we spoke about in the past, you can't ram it down anybody's throat. It's just gonna be one of those things where you'll pick it up because you're curious, but I want it to be there when your curiosity,
absolutely,
peaks. Yeah. And it's one of I wanted to organically just have it enter into the realm of their
absolutely
of their eyes, But and then I gotta ask you something.
Yeah,
when you first embarked on your journey,
I
remember out of nowhere, because I don't think you said anything. You just opened up like a page, or you became OCD gave me life.
Yeah, that
And
was my
all
first
of us,
advocacy.
yeah,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden, like in my feed, I was seeing OCD gave me life, and I had no honestly, I had no idea it was you. It was just one of those things. Like, how did this get on my feed? But then I saw you,
Was
and
the person? Yeah, it was me
and I was
behind
like,
it.
oh yeah, like John. It's like the first time you went like public. You know what I mean?
Yeah, November of 19, I think it was.
Yeah, that was your IPO.
Trading at
That
an
was your
all-time high.
IPO, and then OCD gave me life, which was an awesome page, and I was like, following you, and then all of a sudden, like you pivoted, and it either you changed it or you opened up a new one. I don't
No,
remember exactly.
it's the same page. I just changed the name. I just changed the name on it. That's it.
All right, so you changed the name, and why would you
To
change the
accept this
name?
moment. Well, because as the journey um, progressed, kind of I evolved with it. So I started out as an advocate for OCD, but I didn't stay as an advocate just for OCD. I kind of my path kept progressing. As my path progressing, my perspective shifted also. So when my perspective shifted, the name OCD gave me life really wasn't resonating anymore because I had kind of evolved beyond just speaking about obsessive compulsive disorder. And that's just my personal path, the way it went. There's plenty of great advocates that keep doing that advocacy work for OCD, which is phenomenal. For me, it just felt like I needed to, for some reason, evolve into something else. And when I started to get into more the spirituality was there in the beginning, but as the spirituality became more prominent, and I was using less of the therapeutic tools, I started to get more into the presence and the awareness and the being and the mindfulness, and not as much into the therapy part of it anymore with OCD. And that's what a lot of advocates still, a lot of their work is based in that, in the therapeutic part, which is phenomenal and really is the way to go if you want to start that path. Um, but when I noticed that there was something else there, like I noticed this other presence, something that was always there that had nothing to do with therapy and nothing to do with tools I was using or trying to, let something just sit there. Or I kind of evolved into accepting this moment. Like I started to just feel like I would accept the moment as it is, accept the moment as it is. And I said, you know what? OCD gave me life. Doesn't feel right anymore. I said, I really live my life by living one moment at a time in the present moment. I said, and you can navigate through anything just by accepting the moment as it is, and not needing it to be different. You could want it to be different, but not needing it to be different. So that acceptance led to accept this moment. And then from there, as that kept evolving and I started writing the book and started doing the podcast, the name Universal Lens came up. And that's how I came up with the name with the book. And it was, well, I'm not just accepting this moment. Now it's a grander perspective on how I see everything in life. Right now it's universal way of this universal perspective I shifted into of the way I kind of perceive life completely. Not just the thoughts in my head, but people around me, the way people act, the way things are in life itself. So, and that kind of gravitated into that name. So most people don't have that. Like people don't have a name, they'll stick with it, which can be confusing the way I did it. But for me, I just felt like if I stayed with OCD gave me life, I think I would have been stuck there. I wouldn't have continually progressed. And that progression was because I allowed my perspective to constantly shift. I allowed my perspective to constantly shift. I didn't say, I didn't identify with just saying, well, I'm an advocate and this is who I'm going to be, which is great. I mean, listen, again, it's awesome. We need more and more of them. But for me, it was, I'm an advocate, but there's more. Then it was, okay, I'm accepting life as it is, but there was more. And again, my path is my path, right? There are a lot of people that they don't get there. They don't have a need to get there. Other people maybe want to go deeper than I did with this, right? So it's all on the perspective you have. But that's kind of how the names slowly gravitated. Now, if you look like on Instagram, I used to be Accept This Moment. Now it's the Universal Lens. I just kind of did it. I didn't even post the name change. I just kind of changed the logo, changed everything. and everything funnels right now for me into Universal Lens. And it's not a business thing because you need to make money for it to be a business. This is
People
a
don't people don't know. People,
no,
yeah.
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 This isn't a business thing.
You actually pay. This
Yes,
actually
yeah.
costs you. This is negative.
This is something that we do because we enjoy it and we love it, not because we're trying to make careers out of it.
Although
And
if
yeah,
something comes our way,
well, no. Listen, if it does, it does absolutely. But that wasn't the intention. Put it that way, right? The intention
Yep.
wasn't to brand it as a business and whatever.
Yep.
That's a whole separate discussion. But
No,
um,
that's baked in there. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, so, absolutely. So that's how the whole
Yeah, you know, you said a lot there, man. Like you know, there's a lot going on in that speech right there.
a
You
lot
know.
to peel in that onion, a lot of
Yep.
layers.
And I'm gonna tell you, like, one thing I see right off the bat is, so your ability to not hunker down and identify with that first one. So OCD gave me life because you know there's so many reasons for you to anchor into that.
Sure,
Number
it was
one,
working. It was great.
exactly that's
Yeah,
you were getting positive results
yeah,
with
absolutely.
your journey.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's so easy to just say, "Whoa, this is it." No, you saw, hey, you know, things that I'm doing, things that I'm experiencing, I could actually reach more people because this encompasses like
Yeah,
a wide, like there's a wide lens. No pun on the lens, but it's a wide lens that you capture a lot. It's not just OCD. And although OCD is you know difficult to deal with, and this
sure.
is a very good method and system, and it's worked for you. Doesn't mean it's going to work for 100% of everybody, but simply put, it's a very positive way to go about your life. It's a very positive way to put a lens on things to really go on about your life, and the fact that you say cast a bigger net is good.
That's a
I
good way
mean,
to put it. Yeah.
you caught me in there because for me, when we would talk, me, I'm a, again, here I am attaching, but when you say I have to describe what I was feeling, I'm very, have that anxiety,
Sure.
depression, and my mind enjoys, absolutely loves to think about the worst case scenario that could ever happen. And it loves to just put, one of those red alert, red alert. And I love how Art in our talks, I'd be like, damn, like you'd hit me with one of these zingers of yours. Like,
My
damn,
finger.
so
What are my fingers?
so good. And then I realized, listen, this is such a beautiful way of putting a lens or framing things.
Framing. Yeah.
It's just a different perspective. And I find myself now, I like every day that passes and every day that you're on the bike, you ride it a little bit better. Again,
Sure.
you're never a BMX perfect performer, but you're riding.
It's not about it, right? It's not about
right.
that.
It's just about you bettering you and you becoming a better version of yourself.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, like yesterday, I'm giving my son some tips on how to deal with let's say, a baseball teammate relationship. He told me he did something, and I thought it was very, very negative. There's no positive feedback that can come from it.
Okay.
And then I find myself like saying, all right, well, number one, why are we just complaining? Somebody messed up on the field, right? So when he came back in and it was hot, my son caught 2 games, in the heat.
Yeah.
And when somebody messed up in the outfield, he came in and my son, ribbed him. You know what I mean? Like, no, you've been there. You've been that guy who messed up a play on the field. And when you come back, do you want somebody to be waiting there for you, just ready to? I get it. It's a competitive endeavor and everything, but, the mindfulness aspect was ringing while he's telling me the story. And I don't want to be preachy, but I did say, look, you've been there. And I understand the competitive endeavor, but you've been there. And that's not how that's not how I think you would want somebody to approach you.
No.
When you come back.
I agree.
So very simple. You can have a chat with him and you can say, look, in private, look, man, it's 100 degrees. I'm dying over there. And I know you can catch that ball. Otherwise you wouldn't be out there. please, man, please, let's. I don't know, a little bit different take on it, you know.
Yeah.
And so all because of you,
Mm.
all because of the different, your different ways of capturing different people and
It, yeah. Well,
different things.
it's it when you allow your perspective, when you allow yourself to be able to shift and not just lock down into one thing, and allow your perspective to change. You ever see there's a picture, I forgot where I've seen it before. I don't know if it was on posts or on an article or something. I've seen it a couple of times where it's a black and white picture. It looks like almost two faces, or a picture of two different colors, of black and white, and depending on how you look at it, you could see a vase in the picture, and but you have to look at it a certain way. So you have to allow yourself to be able to shift your perspective and how you normally look at things. So when you first look at it the first time, the way your eyes usually capture something is the way you capture it. Then if you sit with it just for a moment and allow yourself, allow your mind, allow your eyes to shift slowly, all of a sudden another picture arises out of that was always there, but you never saw it. This is kind of the same thing. If you allow yourself to watch your mind work and not attach to the first thought, the first reaction, the first words that come out of your mouth because it's just the way you've been trained and things you've learned over your life and the environment you've been around, well, another answer will arise. If you just allow yourself to be able to shift and see, you'll see an answer come up in you that you might not like. You might know that you don't like that answer, and you don't know where that knowing comes from. Like, I could be with somebody who triggers me, and I'm around. I have people in my life who I love to death, family, and even friends who can be triggering when I'm around them. And not that they're doing something malicious. It's just the way my mind works from years of whatever, being brought up a certain way or just interacting with people. Certain words, certain phrases, certain mannerisms want to trigger a response in me. But I allow myself to see that in myself, see that reaction want to come up, and I allow myself to kind of, well, let me see it a little bit differently. I'm not going to attach to that one. Let me see what else comes up. And I'll know, I'm like, I know I don't like that response. Even though I want to give it, I know I don't like it, but I don't know where that knowing is coming from. It's not another voice that goes, hey, we don't like that, John. It's just like, I want to say, well, you're an asshole. Like, that's what wants to come out of my mouth. But there's something else that goes, just without saying a word, makes me feel like, nah, that's not what I want to say. That's not who I want to be. And I don't know where that comes from, but that's when you allow yourself to shift, all of a sudden another layer from that onion starts to peel back, right? Like, you're able to discuss this with your son now because maybe you're not so attached to the, come on, let's go get them, son, and screw them, and they got to do their job, which is a mentality a lot of people have. And you see, you're like, well, hold on a second. How would you like that if that was you? A lot of people can't get to that place. They really can't, because they don't allow themselves to hear that other part of their being or that awareness that lets them see that reaction isn't the reaction that's beneficial, the one that they really want to do. So yeah, shifting in that perspective is tremendous, but allowing yourself to shift, that's the key. Knowing and practicing to allow that shift to come, right? And it's done with, whether it's meditation or just practicing mindfulness. That's where you unlock like that other door. That's where I went from OCD gave me life to accept this moment to the universal lens, right? And who the hell knows what happens after that?
That's
like,
right.
I'm not even locked. I'm not saying, well, this is who I am, and that's it. Eckhart Tolle walks around, and people ask him, well, what are you? And he goes, I really don't like to say I'm something. Like, I'm not a spiritual teacher. I'm a person who teaches spirituality or talks about it. But I'm not a spiritual teacher, because then that says this is who I am. That's it. I'm a spiritual teacher. I must be a spiritual. Yes, for the, whether it's a business or whatever, you need to name something, right? I get it. But as long as you leave that, well, practically, yes, in a practical manner, I am a spiritual teacher. But if you ask me what I am, now I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about Eckhart Tolle. He would say, yes, practically, in a practical manner, I'm a spiritual teacher. But if you ask him what he really is, he would just say, I'm a person who teaches spirituality. And that's it. I'm a person who's written books. That's how he frames it, because he allows himself to constantly morph and ebb and flow, and allows that perspective to keep shifting. Because once this is who I am. Well, okay, where's the growth going to come from? Where's the evolution going to come from? Because now this is who you are. And that could go for even a kid like your son, right? Or anybody, any young kid who says, well, this is who I am. Well, if you say this is who you are, is that who you're always going to be? Like, are you giving yourself a chance to evolve into something different, better? No,
Yeah.
So yeah. So
And I would say I think the day you decide to accept mindfulness, the day you decide to accept that you're going to be aware, the day you decide that you're going to, let's say, not have a reaction, not allow yourself to have a reaction, but response. The more I don't know how to say it, but the more you open up on your road, and like what I mean to say is, for example, the way I think today is not exactly the thought process that was, let's say, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months ago, 7 months ago,
absolutely.
and back.
Absolutely.
And I think that's kind of what happened to you, is that as the days go on and you become more aware, you start to develop these other senses where it's like a sense that just comes, that maybe day one you don't have it, but you feel, but then as the days go on, the senses get sharper and sharper and sharper. And now I feel myself like I said, like I had a conversation with my son, actually both my sons, where I'm able to tell them, listen, your reaction was a reaction, it was a knee jerk, right?
Yep.
So that comes from unawareness, right? That comes from, let's say, that's how we are default. That's how we came out of the factory default, right? That's the default setting. But do you want a reaction or do you want a response? So a response is a different thing.
Yeah.
And so just give yourself that space. Just give yourself that space between reaction and response. That space where input comes in, space, then response. As opposed to input comes in, reaction.
Absolutely.
And just that perspective came with time. And that's basically, I would say, a big message I want to just give everybody is, let's say you're trying this mindfulness thing out, you're with us and you're following, everything we say, everything we do. Not every day is perfect. Not every moment you're freaking Sadhguru, not every moment you're Eckhart Tolle.
Man.
We're human, and this is an evolution. It's a constant evolution. It's not a hunkering down. It's not a, well, fuck you for trying to change me. No. It's about, very simple. If you want to be a better version of yourself and helping, let's say, spread nothing but good vibes and good intentions and good feelings to people, then do it, and you'll be successful. 75 out of 100, 80. It depends on the day. You might be 60 out of 100. You might be 99 out of. Stick to it. You'll find yourself that there's a net effect that happens. If you kept a monthly ledger, you find yourself there's a net positive.
Sure, you tend to. I mean, look, if this is a path that you follow and you allow yourself to be able to evolve constantly, and like we said before, keep shifting as shifting is required, then yes, the odds are you're going to have more beneficial results than negative results, because those are the results that you actually want and you actually work towards without even realizing it, right?
Without realizing it.
Without realizing, if you don't want a confrontation and you don't like confrontations, well, you're going to avoid those confrontations. I'm not talking about avoiding them like in a negative way. You can avoid them by taking a higher road, by not reacting, right? But the person who's unconscious, the person who's egoically driven, is going to chase those interactions instead, those confrontations, because there's no awareness there yet. So it's really the practice will, if it's something that you do, the more and more that you do it, yeah, nothing's perfect, right? Like we said before, you're not going to be, Sadhguru and not even him, by the way. Time out. Not even Sadhguru or Eckhart Tolle or Jesus Christ, and not that I'm putting these guys in, or
Yeah,
whoever. Name the spiritual teacher, the
yeah,
prophet that you want was divine, where they didn't have an emotion or a feeling. If you were inhabiting this body, that's a given. It's being able to see that inside of you, in you, have that awareness that they're there, and realize that that's not who you are. This body that we have is it's a learning instrument that, well, you've learned certain things up to now. Well, you could learn, like you said before, you have the default method, or now we could implement version 2.0 of it and say, well, I know my mind wants to say fuck off right now to this person, but I don't want to say that because I know where that goes, and there's no benefit to that, and that's not the kind of life I want to live, or the kind of person I want to be, or the kind of example I want to set. And you don't know where that comes from, but once you have that awareness, you start noticing that it's there, and you start wanting to go that way and lean that way. But that only happens if you allow yourself to kind of constantly shift and flow, and don't say, well, this is who I am and this is who I'm going to be, and that's it, right? There's a book, I've mentioned him a few times, Alex Mills wrote. It's called A Shift to Love, and that's kind of where I started noticing like this word shift and how important it was even in my life. After I read his book, he was a Zen monk, and it's a book about, he tells stories where he was there, but the title for me meant so much, like, because he allowed himself to shift over those 14 years and to evolve. And I think that's the important thing that we need to try to do, is to allow that shift to come, right? Allow that perspective to change. Allow yourself to see things differently. And it could be scary at times. People, know what they know. And if they're so like, well, my mind is saying this and that's what I know, that could be scary. I get that. People in my family are like that. People I know are like that. And I was like that, right? Where it's like, bro, this is what my mind's saying right now. And I don't know if I don't want to know what's out there. Right? But if you allow yourself to just watch and notice, and if needed, shift when that shift is required. Because I'm not saying like a shift like, oh, you're gonna take the steering wheel and jerk it and I'm gonna make a hard right turn. No, allow that shift when the shift is required. I didn't plan on changing my name from OCD Gave Me Life to Accept. Like, it wasn't like, well, I'm going to evolve over the next 4 years and I'm going to change my name 6 times and I'm going to go from here to there. It wasn't like some part of a marketing plan. No, it happened, and as it's happening, I'm not stopping it from happening. I'm saying, well, this is where I'm going right now, but this is where I want to be. And I allowed that to happen. I allowed myself to kind of grow into something else, and then grow into something else. And I don't know where it goes from here. Maybe it stays here forever. Who knows? But, that not being stuck into that one box, let's just say, allows you to see life, live life, experience life in so many different ways, in so many different ways, you know?
And can I ask you? Can I ask you a question about that book? Because I don't want to just get lost in the book, but A Shift to Love.
The,
What exactly was the love aspect? Is he talking about himself?
yeah, yes. So he speaks a lot about self-compassion, and not in the book, but I did a retreat with him. And he speaks a lot about self-compassion, like hearing those other voices that want to beat you up in your head. It's all based on awareness. It's just, what flavor of awareness do you want to implement? Which one resonates with you? So his was self-compassion, and it's a shift to loving yourself. And you don't, it's not as deep about the loving yourself and I'm the best and oh my God, I'm great. It's not about that. It's about saying, I'm not going to beat myself up. So I started a diet today. My diet's been going good for a week and a half. All right, that's great. I had a bad day. Son of a bitch. I can't do anything right. It's hearing that and saying, thank you. I'm going to start again. And that's it. And that's the shift into love, not the shift into, and he goes, and he would always say, and many spiritual teachers have said this, well, it doesn't matter if you start over every day. Did you start over today? So you again, you failed yesterday. All right. Did you start over today? You didn't beat yourself up. You came back and you started over. And maybe you tripped up again 3 days later. Did you start? And if you do that, watch how that track of yours doesn't stay flat or get worse. It gets better. It keeps getting better because you keep being compassionate to yourself. So I think that's what I know that's what he was kind of talking about when he says shift to love.
There's so
That's
many
the meaning of it.
there's so many people in my life right now that need to hear that. That was very good. That was very. I mean, because it's a theme. It's a theme with us. Like we have discussed that.
Yeah, absolutely.
We've tiptoed around that, but like you just like nailed it about shifting to love. Yourself, and like you said, it's not about poor me. It's not about that. It's about like you just said. Okay, so I was on my diet, and like the example you just gave. So this, we touched upon this, I think, last time, where thank God you do that little disclaimer at the end that we're not, professional. Because I don't know professionally if this is a thing, if this works, but we stumbled upon it when we spoke about addiction, and we said, okay, well, let's say you decide, listen, I'm gonna get clean, and then you have 4 days where you went clean, and then on the fifth day you relapse. But if that let's say if that desire to continue to try to be clean is there, so what's wrong with another day one? Let's do a day one.
Exactly.
So far, you've got 4 clean and 1 mistake. Next day is day one, and like you said, even if I do day one every day,
you're trying to better yourself. Yeah, you're working to better yourself. Absolutely. That's a great example. Yeah, I mean, whether it's an addiction or whatever, as long as you allow yourself to not say, "Well, I'm a failure. This is it."
That's exactly right.
And instead of having a day one, having day zero, because you don't start to do. Listen, I mean, the first time I started to write my book. Yeah, I drew out a page. I didn't like it. I did this. I did that. I mean, if I would have stopped because I said I'm never going to get it done, I never would have done it. I never would have did it, Or the first time we tried to do this podcast and we're like, excuse me, oh, how do I do this? Oh my God, I can't. I don't want to be bothered. No, forget about it. I would never do it because we failed at something or we had a mistake or there was an issue. And these are all small examples. Make the example whatever you want.
No, or more basic, like before, where you said, "Who the hell am I? Who's gonna want to listen to me?"
Yeah,
but either because that is just part of it. The
exactly
the ego torture that you do, where who am I? What am I? That's all. I think they're all holding hands. Where,
sure they are.
What a failure I am. They forget about it. I'm just gonna be this piece of shit forever. No, like, I mean, if that's what you want, God bless you. But I don't think. I don't think that's what people want, because
no,
this is all about our experience while we're here, because we're here today and maybe not tomorrow. And is it one of those things where is this what you're okay with? Viewing yourself as an absolute failure, viewing yourself as less than constantly. It's choice.
If you could, if you ask somebody who's going through something, we use addiction again, right? Because that's what you said before. And somebody's going through an addiction, and you ask them, if you could be clean today, would you want to be clean? You're going to probably get a resounding yes from most of those people, right? Of course. So now why not start working towards it?
Right.
Why not listen to those voices that tell you you can't and do what you want to do? Do what you actually want to do. What you want to get clean. You want to live a better life. You want to lose weight. You want to go on a diet. You want to find a better job. You want to, whatever it might be. And this isn't about always trying to listen to your mind when it says that there's no satisfaction. You got to be better. But if there's something you're working at and your mind's telling you that, no, you can't do it, but there's something in you that says, but this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to live my life. Why are you, what's the word I'm looking for? Why are you denying that? Why deny something because there's a voice that's louder? There's a voice that's yelling louder than that pulling you, that's saying, but we want to do this. We want to live our lives this way. But no, you're going to suck at this. But no, nobody's going to hear you. But no, you're never going to be able to get clean. But no, you're never going to be able to lose weight. But no. So if you keep listening to this, and this is all ties into that whole shift to love thing that we were talking about. If you listen to this all the time, then how the hell, where's your progression ever going to be? When are you ever going to try to experience something you want to experience? If you always listen to that one self-defeating kind of voice, which is because the self-defeating voice is always a louder voice. And if you always listen to the self-defeating louder voice, right? Because most people, the negative voice is louder than the positive voice. It's just the way humanity is, at least nowadays, right? We hear more negative voices than we do positive voices. Whether we listen to them or we don't, it's different. But if you polled 1,000 people, you probably and you have to tell them brutally honest. Don't give me the answer I want to hear. Give me the answer that's the truth. Do you have more negative voices or commentary in your head, or do you have more positive commentary in your head on a daily basis? Even the most positive person will probably tell you, no, I have tons of negative commentary. I just don't pay attention to it, and I do the things that I want to do anyway, whether I'm successful at them or not. And that, to me, that encompasses like what that term shift to love means. And I think that's what that book was about, and which was a great little take on it, when he kind of put that together. So
Yeah, I think something big in this whole thing is, I'm gonna name it ego capture. It's when the ego captures you. It's when the ego takes over fully, and you're on his terms,
yeah,
and everything you do and think and act, that's on his terms. That's You're completely driven. It's captured. But if you're able, in my opinion, if you're
yeah.
able to admit, or if you're able to say acknowledge, my ego has captured me, I think that's your first step into
Sure.
breaking the cycle, breaking the, let's say, the pattern, breaking the attachment. Um, I think it's big. Like, you know, you cannot. I don't think you can shift anywhere if you're ego captured.
You can't, it's hard to shift if you're not aware. So if you're ego captured, you have no awareness, right? If you're captured by your ego, you're not. You have no awareness because the ego is in control.
But
That
isn't it
part,
funny? But
but
isn't it funny? Those same people, if you ask them, like you said, if you ask them, you know, do you want to stop this thing? Do you want to lose weight? And what do they all? Well, yeah, but they're captured. But if they can somehow admit it, I'm captured. It's but
I get what you're saying. Yeah,
not many will admit it. In other words, not many will say, you know, not many will be able to bridge the two. Whereas they say, deep down, I do want to start eating better, and I do want to embark on
it's
a
like
better.
if you go to an AA meeting, what's one of the? And I've never been to one, but I've always heard, right? If you've been to, they'll ask you, what's the first thing you say? Hi, my name is blah, and I'm an alcoholic. It's coming out and saying,
Yeah,
I have this issue. I'm captured.
that's
I'm
right.
captured. I'm captured.
That's
That's where you kind of, that person has supposed to have this moment where they go, holy crap, I have this problem. Now they're aware of it. Like now they know that they have that problem. They're aware that that issue is there, and they can choose to live life differently from that moment on, right? And everything's a little bit of work, unfortunately, but you know, but they then have that choice. So yeah, I know exactly what
but
you're saying with that.
but two things at that meeting when you stood up and said that. Two things. Number one, obviously, you have an addiction problem. Otherwise, you wouldn't be there. So
Sure.
that's one thing. But the second thing is to admit that I cannot I cannot beat my ego. I'm captured. Ladies and gentlemen, I need help because deep down, I want to stop, but I cannot stop because I'm such a loser piece of shit that I can't. All right. I've tried it. I tried it 1,000 times. This doesn't fucking work. That's it. All right. I'm a loser. It is what it is. So that is a captured
Person.
person.
Yeah.
But if that person admits, in my opinion, that they're captured, that could be a breakthrough moment,
Sure.
and then that will probably allow them to enter into the phase of the shift where you can start to sort of love yourself and admit, hey, today we gave it our best shot, and damn it, I succumbed. I was weak. I couldn't do it. But I want my deep down voice to say, yo, we got to try again, man. This is worth it. It's worth to try again. We are worth it. And the next day, you can wake up with okay, we're going to try this again. And you allow yourself to, let's say, try it again and continue to, let's say, reframe it so that the right wolf wins and not the wrong wolf. Because it's like once you're because again, I'm throwing myself into because I don't have, thank God, I don't think I have any addictions, but I throw myself in that scenario, and I can imagine that when somebody has a physical dependency, chemical dependency, or whatever it is, it's a very difficult thing, and I'm sure some people watch us and
Yeah,
go,
it's
well,
not that easy.
right.
Yeah,
And some people might see us and go, well, lucky for you, you don't have it.
I get it. Yeah, I
Right.
get it.
I'm very uber sensitive to that. I've had alcoholics in my life, in my family. I've had to deal with that. Um, so I totally understand. I come from a super good place in terms of I want to help,
Yeah,
but I think this is big. I think this is big for somebody listening because I think the addiction issue is huge. The inability to shift. Man, I
that
love the
word. I love
name.
that word. The
The
two words I
inability to
love.
shift because we're anchored down, because we're tied in, because this is just who we are. And OCD, in your case, you're actually on a great journey. So there you are. Your OCD gave me life. Even still, you shift. Even still, you're not anchored. That's yeah, it's crazy, right? Because anybody who's on the other side would say, "Dude, you did it." Like, no, did what? We're constantly,
We're constantly
yeah,
shifting. Yeah, I'm not,
shifting.
and it's not about saying, well, I'm happy where I am, or I'm not happy. Like people like, well, well, you're doing so great as an advocate, and you had all these great tools and whatever, blah 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 blah. Why would you wanna? Why would you want to leave that behind, or do you think there's something better? I go, it's not about. I thought there was something better. It's just I allowed things to progress in my life. I didn't pump the brakes on it. If this is where it had to go, this is where I needed to be. This is where I went. And that's why there's two words that I love: shift and notice. And if we didn't have language, you would do those things without realizing it. You would just do them if you're an aware person. But since we have language and we have language we could use, I'm a big proponent of saying use that language properly. Because when we couldn't speak, we would do things from another place, another knowing, instinct, and a higher intelligence that didn't verbally speak. But as our mind evolved over years, well, now we develop language, and language tends to frame the way we do things and the way we act and the way we live our lives.
That's
And we
right.
don't even realize it.
That's right.
Like language is, I've always said, in my opinion, the greatest thing man ever created, right? Was the ability to speak and converse and write, but it can be also one of the worst things that we've ever done because it boxes us to be certain ways and live our life certain ways unless we use it properly. So words like shift and notice are great words. It's noticing means I see it, I know it's there, right? Or it's there. I realize it's there, but I'm not attached to it. I'm not saying this is who I am, right? And shift allows me to notice things because hey, if I didn't shift, I wouldn't notice that there was this in my life or that I was acting this way or that I don't want to be this anymore. So that's why, and we've spoken about language before, but those are two words, shift and love, shift and notice, that I absolutely love those words. Because if just by saying them, you feel like you automatically start doing this. Like you're not like tied down anymore. Now I want to shift. And you feel like I actually can. I could do it. I could move out of where I am and move into something else. And, a lot of that is because now your perspective has changed also. So, yeah, I mean, listen, whether you're dealing with an addiction or anything in your life, if you take that black and white picture and pull yourself back from it and look at it a different way. Tilt your head differently. You'll be surprised. Oh crap! I didn't notice that was a face underneath there. I didn't notice that. I didn't notice. I didn't notice. I didn't notice. But because you allowed yourself to shift and see things differently, you do notice things. And it's it could be a very very easy, peaceful way to live life. It's there's an ebb and a flow when you live your life that way. And it's, again, there are headaches and there are problems, or issues, I should say, that we have to deal with on a daily basis. Not that if you start shifting and noticing, or if you start becoming aware, like your life's going to be hunky dory, right? But your life will never be horrible, because even in the most horrible of times, you have something that takes you above that. That you notice, that you know that you're more than just these issues in life, or this personality, or this person. And that's the next level, where you come out of, not only do you shift and use your mind to see things differently, but then you start to realize, well, I'm not even my mind. I'm actually something behind it all that sees this happening to me, right? And we could go into an hour conversation about that, and and it's a very deep conversation. My son has taken a class over the summer to try to get, because he's in a 6-year program, and to try to get some of these classes out of the way so his semesters are a little bit easier. He's taking it was like some sort of a world religion, or it was some class where they talk about different religions, which is great. He had to write a paper on Buddhism, and it was one of his last final papers. And in the paper, he made me read it yesterday, and he and this is a kid who we've had a couple discussions, but he's never read the book, but he's asked me a lot of questions, and he kind of goes into how you watch your mind and how you are able to see things happening in your life. And, and when I read it, I was like, wow, look at this. Here's a kid who, 6 months ago didn't know Buddhism, probably just thought it was a fat statue of a guy in China, or Nepal, or any, like, he didn't know anything. But now, because he allowed himself to open his mind up and to see things a little differently, he's like, Dad, this is kind of great. I could watch my thoughts and I could see. I'm like, gates start to open up. So imagine if you allow those gates to keep opening up. I say, eventually you get to a place where you start seeing, like I say to a lot of people, I go, I watch myself live my life. And like, what do you mean? I go, I watch, at certain times I get very close. At certain times I'm very far back. But I watch myself live my life, where I'm like, I don't consider me to be myself. Like, yeah, I'm John Emilio. I know this sounds really weird. I'm living here, and I'm very thankful for everything I have, and my family and my friends. But I'm living this. I'm seeing myself live this life. I'm not. I am life. I'm not. I'm not attached to it. I'm what's behind it. Like, and it's. You can't explain it. You really can't. And if you try to, you go in a circle, like you're chasing your tail. You could any spiritual teacher, and you're chasing your tail, or they're going to lose you because they're going to use language, unfortunately, which kind of goes, huh? But it's a feeling. And that only happens if you allow yourself to shift and notice and say, I'm not saying anything is 100% the way it has to be this way. And that's it,
Yeah, basically, don't hurry any process. So if
I
you're
love
dealing
that.
with, right,
I love
if
that.
you're
Yeah,
if
I
you're
love
dealing
that.
with some sort of ailment, addiction, whatever, you don't have to be clean today, 100 days.
No,
That may happen, that may
sure.
not happen, that it may not be your path, because everybody's path is different, and everybody's situation is different, and very simple. Do your best. That's it. Whatever that may be, do your best, and have more positives than negatives. And slowly things evolve, like you just said. You're to a place now where you can watch yourself live your life, so that basically, it's this helicopter view, like we
Yeah,
always
yeah, it's
spoke about.
exactly what it is. Yeah.
And people are probably like, what the hell? Just slowly go on your
Yes.
journey, and you'll see that
Doesn't happen
eventually.
overnight. Yeah,
Not
yeah.
right, because eventually be like, oh wow, I'm there. I'm I remember John talking about this. I'm there. That's pretty cool. It just happens. It just It just happens. It just comes with uh, mindfulness, maturity. If I can combine those two words together,
Uh, yeah, sure. Why
right?
not? Well, I mean, maturity is allowing yourself to grow, right? And that's exactly what this
Time
is.
in the game. Let's say.
Yes, I mean, that's exactly what this is. You could discover awareness overnight, but to you know, like the story of Buddha is he spent X amount of years in kind of by himself to work on this, to get to this deeper place. So you don't get to this place where like you become, oh my God, this highly enlightened individual. And it's not the goal to try to become that. It's the path and the journey that you want to be on will kind of take you that way. And wherever you end up, but it's a great journey to be on nonetheless. So it doesn't mean you have to become this super enlightened individual. And that's not even my goal. Like, I'm not saying, well, I want to be for me, I just enjoy the journey. And if it evolves, it evolves. And if I allow it to evolve, it most likely will evolve. And if I don't allow it to evolve, it most likely won't evolve. And that could be for whatever you want to do in life. If you allow it to evolve, it will. It just will. If you don't, it won't, So
I think that free form way of thinking is
yeah,
is
that's
what's
good.
going to make it succeed. In a sense, it's just going to help it just go forward and carry its natural progression versus you trying to direct it and blockade it. No, it's free form. Let it go. And actually going back to your first example, OCD gave me life, became accept this moment, became the universal lens because you didn't have some sort of structure, roadblock. No, it's free flowing, and that's exactly why I would say categorize you as a success in the sense successful. Remember where we were? Now look at where we are,
Yeah, listen, I mean,
and who knows where we're going? I don't know.
I don't. Yeah, we don't know, and that might not be the best business plan if you're running a business, but
Right,
but,
but this is in business.
but this is in business. This is
Right,
personal life.
this is
Like
business.
honestly, if you're running a business, sure, you want to have a business plan, goals, projections or whatever, and that's what this is for. But personally, as a person, or as a business owner, or as a boss, or as whatever part or role in life that you're playing, it's very beneficial if you do say, I'm going to just allow things to evolve and shift and flow instead of saying, well, I'm the boss and that's it. Because even inside of a business, you can apply this very well. But the business itself, that's a non-personal structure, right? That's an entity. It's something different. So I'm not talking about that. But personally, sure, just ebb and flow, man. Just shift. Just allow things to shift as they will, and you'll look back 5 years from now and you'll go, "Holy crap! I was here. Then I went there. Then I went there. Then I went here, and now look where I am." And not to say, "Wow, this is where I am. I've made it." No, this is where I am now. This is now at this point in my now and living this moment. This is where I am. Same place, same way 5 years ago when I said this is where I am now. That's where I was. I didn't need to be anywhere else. But 4 or 5 years later, I kind of am somewhere else from where I was. So it's an amazing thing. That's it. That's probably the best. It's an amazing thing to watch happen, and
Yep.
so cool stuff.
I'm glad we're reaching new people. We're reaching other
Yeah.
people. We're making differences. It's what we did. It's what we intended to do
To
when
do
we started this,
exactly.
and
Exactly.
I think it's good. I have these little jolts of dopamine when I get
Sure, you
these
feel
these
good
good.
about it.
Yeah,
You feel good about doing something good. There's nothing wrong with that.
that's right. That's
That's
a good
it's
feeling.
healthy, right? It's good.
Good.
It's nice to feel good about doing something good. You
Yeah,
know. I love the birds in the background. By the way,
yeah,
I
yeah.
love that sound. Yeah, very cool.
The only thing is,
Got cloudy.
okay, yeah, it's gonna pour on me any minute now. It's gonna pour on me. I'm like, a minute ago
Hold
it's
on.
sunny, and now it's like it's
For all our baseball friends, they always knew that I was the guy who walked around with the radar when we were at the games
yeah,
to
man.
tell to tell everybody it was going to rain during the game.
Remember we called you Mr. G.
Now you're according to this, you're good right now. But then I could be wrong. You're good
I
right
could
now.
I could show you how good it is.
All
Like
right. So
behind me is not so bad, but what I'm seeing in front of me,
it's
it's
dark.
like, yeah, start like when you
All
see it
right.
coming in.
So let's tie this up before you get wet.
Yeah, I mean, I might have a few minutes, but it
All
looks
right.
like it's coming my way.
All right. Well, I think we covered most of the base points that we wanted to cover
Yeah,
today.
well
I'm
done.
satisfied with this
Well
episode.
done.
Yeah, man. Very good. Very, very good. So, with that, I think we will tie this one up and do our little
Guided.
soft guided exit. Do a little couple of minutes here to try to slow the mind down, slow everybody down, and try to get everybody for because it's the 4th of July. We're actually taping this on the 4th of July so everybody can enjoy their day. So, wherever you are, seated, standing, as long as you're not upside down, and that might even work for you if you like
Yeah,
it.
why not?
Why not, right? There's no right or wrong way to do this. But a beneficial way is to take those deep breaths. So, like we always say, I like to do 2 to 3 seconds, but if you like to do a longer one, 3 to 5 second inhale, hold and exhale at your pace. My way is not your way. Your way doesn't have to be my way, but we're all on that same path. So, whatever breath increments you like, go ahead and do that. Start taking some deep breaths. As you're taking your breaths in and holding, and then exhaling, bring your focus to your breath. That would be my suggestion. And in doing so, you're going to start to notice your attention is on your breath. If any thoughts do pop in, which they will, because you have an active mind and you're still alive, if they do, notice that thought and bring your attention back to where you want it. Shift your focus where you want it. It's a great exercise in learning how to shift. As you're taking those breaths, if more thoughts, if there's an emotion or a feeling or a question in your mind, notice it. We're not entertaining it. We see it, we notice it, we know it's there, but we bring and shift our focus back to our breath. That's the power and the control that you have. If you like to do a body scan, feel free to do that too. I was always a big fan of that, shifting my focus from body part to where I start to feel that body part, whether it's my legs, my thighs. Actually bring your attention to that part of your body. And the same thing, if a thought comes up and distracts you, if there's a noise that pulls your attention away for a second, slowly, not abruptly, slowly shift your focus back. Remember, this isn't a quick course correction. It's a slow shift back. If there's any tension in your body, if you're shrugging, if your shoulders are being held up, drop them down. If there's any tension in your forehead or in your jaw, release it. No judgment. Notice. Shift your focus back to where you want it and release that tension. Whatever portal works for you, feel free to continue doing it, whether it's the breathing, body scanning, whichever one, or just noticing the sounds around you and then bringing your focus back to your body. Like I'm noticing those birds in the background right now, which I love, by the way. Couple of more. Last one. And we are back. All right. Well, that was nice.
I went deep there.
Yeah, good. I hope you did. I hope everybody did. Go deep, and you will find your true self. I can tell you that.
Yeah, right.
The deeper you
It's
go,
like,
you will find your true self.
right. Yeah, it's like the deeper you go, it's like you ticked up a. You made a little more muscle.
You make a connection with something that's beyond what what we perceive as life. And that's really the best way I could put it. So, but with that note, we're good. I think we go have some hamburgers and hot dogs and call it a day.
Why not? Why not? Happy 4th of July.
Yes. Happy 4th of July to everybody. And we will catch you guys next time.
Super.
All right. Take care,
Be
guys.
well, man.